What's up, guys? This is Captain Gimpy.
And Zenboro.
Oh, yeah, that's your name. I thought it was like Peaceful Dog.
No.
So, we were going to go to the theater and see a movie, but because of certain time constraints, we decided to Netflix this bad boy.
Yep.
So we checked out a somewhat recently released movie on Netflix called Tau.
Tau. T-A-U.
Like half of the word tourist, but not.
Yeah, and it's like you're saying Tau, but...
yeah, instead of toll.
Yeah.
So...
I
don't know where to start.
I was gonna call it like an AI exploration movie.
Yeah.
Because it explores like themes that are common with like, oh, what's a person? Like, are you a machine or are you a man?
Yeah,
basically.
So, like Ex Machina
or even Ghost
in the Shell.
Yeah.
Even anime like Chobits or Chobits.
Yeah.
Say that.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
That existential topic.
Or like if you play Tekken and you play Nina, like at some point she became an android.
Yeah.
Right, so then there's that, because that was part of her arc if you play as her too. Like discovering her human incarnation and identity. What it means to be human, blah. So, did it succeed as that kind of movie?
I would say that it did. It was just, for me, in the beginning, the movie was a little, like, it just dropped you into the middle of their world. Like, I wasn't sure if it was a future world or not.
Yeah, so, okay. So this movie was written by someone named Noga Landau. And it was directed by some dude who was in the art department for Captain America Civil War and
Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And the first Ant-Man movie.
Yeah. I forgot his name.
Shit.
What is his name?
I did too.
Yeah, I forgot. But okay, so both of these guys have never really done anything feature length before. The Landau dude is a relatively new writer. He's only been on a couple of short films and this. And the other guy has been in the art department for those big Marvel films, but this is pretty much the first thing he's directed that's feature length. So how did they do?
How did you think?
Okay, so normally I try not to be too critical. But man, the first half of the movie was awful.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that.
There's B movie, right? This is clearly a B movie. It has like no fucking budget, and that's fine. But dude, even B movies have standards, and this basically ignored them. Like, in the beginning, when you talked about how they just kind of drop you in.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we had no idea what was going on for a good 25 minutes in the film. There was no world building here. None.
Yeah, like, we're introduced to the female protagonist, and you find out she's, like, a pickpocket. A pickpocket thief, basically. And, based on the scenes that they showed us. And she's in her apartment, and some random person knocks her out, and she wakes up in this prison cell.
Yeah, so the protagonist is played by a girl named Maika Landau. Oh, not Maika Landau. Maika Monroe. My bad. And the dude who plays Alex is what's his name? I want to say his name is like Alex. I forgot his I'm bad with names. But she was in the newer Independence Day film.
Yeah, Resurgence.
And he was in a bunch of like small roles. I mean a bunch. And like they're not horrible actors, but there's no writing here. Like I could grab a handful of story cubes, right? If you guys know what those are, they're little dice that have pictures on them, Some are to represent like settings, some are to represent action, some are to represent like characters or whatever, and you just roll them and you make up shit based on how they turn up. And that's kind of how this feels like it was written, especially in the first half. And it was funny because I looked this up on IMDb, and almost nobody had any names.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I think Julia, Alex, and Tao, and like maybe 2 other people had names. Out of like all the people that were in the movie, and there weren't that many, but out of all the other people in the movie, those were like the only 3 characters that had definitive names that were actually mentioned in the movie.
Yeah.
The rest, you just kind of have to assume based on their IMDb pictures. Like, oh, that's the dude that was in the hologram.
Yeah.
Like I said, there was no world building. They kind of drop you in. So the girl starts out in kind of this underground prison complex that's beneath a house.
Yeah.
And it's surprisingly big for being beneath the house. Because the house doesn't seem that big.
Yeah, because the film takes place inside the house. So you never really get a sense of like how big or small the house actually is.
Right, you're either in the prison or you're in the house.
Living room, yeah.
Right. But what it does do well later is establish various relationships between the human male protagonist, the machine, and the girl.
Yeah.
But that literally happens at the halfway mark of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And it breaks all the rules of establishing the rules of the world first and giving the viewer a reason to suspend disbelief.
Yeah.
It doesn't do that.
I had a kind of a difficult time like suspending my disbelief until the film started getting into the AI conversation, as I like to call it.
Again, in the second half. Like, right at the halfway mark, it feels like a different movie.
Yeah.
One problem I had with the film is that you never really know who the characters are. And I'm not talking about data.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about you never know what kind of people they are.
Yeah.
And even to the very end, you don't know who they are as people, like what their core is, what their motivations are, any of their thoughts, because there aren't any thoughts.
Yeah, they're kind of paper thin.
The only 2 characters that have actual thoughts are Maika Monroe's character and Gary Oldman is in this movie.
Yeah.
As the machine.
Yep.
It's literally Gary Oldman. I checked 3 times.
Yeah,
right?
but he doesn't have an android body.
He doesn't appear.
He's a disembodied
voice.
Yeah.
So hello. My name is Hal.
Yeah, just think of that.
I can't do that, Dave. He's that. Okay,
Yeah.
That's what he is. That's all of Gary Oldman's like acquired B-movie star power, and that's what he gets.
Yep.
Okay. And I think Gary Oldman's a halfway decent actor. Like, he's not bad.
Yeah.
And he plays lots of like goofy, over-the-top, villainous type dudes to me.
Mm-hmm.
And they could have done so much.
Right.
And they didn't.
Yep. One of the things that this film reminded me of was Ex Machina.
Yeah.
And like the films also had similar settings too, now that I think about it.
Yeah, because it takes place on a private compound.
Yeah, owned by a very wealthy person.
Who is eccentric as hell.
Yeah, very intelligent in the sense of like he created this artificial intelligence.
And he demands complete control over it at all times.
Yeah.
Except Tao is like an inverted, worse written Ex Machina.
That's what I was thinking.
Because, right, at least Ex Machina kind of had a point.
Yeah.
This, like, you never know if there is a bond between the AI and the woman, or if the woman is just using it, even up to the very end. You don't know, until they end up outside. And then by that point, the movie's over.
And I think that shows the weakness of the writing in this film.
Wait, somebody wrote it? I thought
maybe an AI wrote it.
I thought they used like an AI script generator. It's like generate plot.
They've done it.
I mean, okay, so I'm talking a lot of crap about this movie, but really, the second half of the film feels like it's written by somebody else.
Yeah. It's like they were just like, oh, you suck, and then they just hired another writer to do the last half.
And then they didn't give that writer credit.
Yeah.
That's really what it feels like. Because the second half of the film, while it's not the best movie and it never will be overall, the second half of the film was much, much stronger than the first.
Yeah.
They literally killed the black guy within 15 minutes.
Yep.
Of the film's beginning. I kid you not. As if there were any other horror tropes they could throw in here, they even included the dead black dude.
Yeah.
And they killed them in the order of their subject number, so they're credited as subject 1, 2, and Julia as subject 3, the only one with a name.
Yeah.
They killed them in order. They killed subject 1 first, subject 2 second, and, well, let's say Julia almost gets herself killed several times through being dumb, by the way.
Yeah, basically.
So would you recommend the movie to anybody?
Let's see, it's on Netflix. It's like an hour and 37 minutes?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. If you're craving like something cerebral, I don't know, I would say gather another cerebral friend and then just watch it together.
For me, I would just say go watch Ex Machina.
Yeah, it would be a film I would watch like kind of high.
Yeah.
Yeah, something to like, because I do like, alright, visually I do like how they design Tao, because he's like this inverted triangle. He appears as this inverted triangle with an eyeball.
Well,
but
upside down.
Yeah, upside down. But for me, that's just a visual thing that was interesting to me.
Yeah, I think that the director must have been a visual effects guy.
Yeah, because when you see the visual effects, they're actually pretty well done.
Because the VFX are decidedly low budget, but they're pretty good, which means the dude knew what he was doing when it came to art direction.
Okay, I would say, like, if you're really bored and you don't know what to watch, you could put that movie on and get your mind going about, like, oh, what's a better movie that talks about these same themes?
And then you could go watch Ex Machina.
Because when we were watching it, I was just thinking, like, there are so many other films that are more well written than this one.
Right.
But I'm not saying this film is complete trash.
No, the second half of the film, if they just chopped it and gave it a setup,
yeah,
and led you into the second half of the film and maybe made it 20 minutes shorter, like to where it would meet the 70-minute mark for feature length,
yeah,
it'd be a pretty damn good movie, but they didn't do that, so they made a really bad B movie.
Yeah.
With good moments. So I give it a thumb sideways if that exists.
Yeah, I will too.
And I would recommend Ex Machina if you're into that sort of thing.
Definitely.
For real, it's a much better film.
Yeah, definitely superior. I guess the thing is that it just felt like this film was really trying to copy Ex Machina.
Yeah.
And I think that defeated the purpose of the story.
By the way, if you're a director who wants a writer who understands how to write this kind of story or who's had a lot of exposure, I'm sitting right here. Like, I can write shit like that.
Yeah.
And it might not be great, but I guarantee you it'll be better than that movie. So if that's your bar, I can exceed that by far. If that's your bar, I'm up here somewhere. Now, if your bar is like, what's a really good AI movie?
Besides Ex Machina?
I don't know. I forgot them all.
Yeah, I don't know if you would consider Ghost in the Shell.
Okay, the anime.
The anime, not.
Okay, if your bar is Ghost in the Shell, the anime, well then I'm gonna be right about here. Okay, but if your bar is like this movie or maybe even Ex Machina, I'm pretty sure I could match Ex Machina at least. All right, so hit me up.
You heard he is spoken.
Yeah, so that's what we think. We'll be doing more Netflix reviews in the future, because let's face it, movie theater season is not always popping.
Yeah.
So, see you guys next time.
Yep.